if there's anything that you've been wanting to do and you haven't because of fear and doubt, just take a couple steps at a time. And sometimes we're going to fail, and that's okay, because we're going to fail, and then we're going to have something that succeeds. Welcome to Brick Breakers, the podcast where we break down the walls holding us back from becoming the strongest, happiest version of ourselves. Now let's start breaking those walls. Hey everyone, welcome to Brick Breakers' first podcast of 2025. I am Linda Mendez Adams. I've been doing this podcast for a while. Usually I have guests on here that talk about adversities and give tips on how to get through them. And the whole concept of Brick Breakers is just you break a wall, and the wall is a metaphor for something challenging in your life and adversity. And I'm excited because I'm changing things up a little bit. So I have my notes here right next to me. I have the recording right here. We're testing out this microphone, this headphone. I'm seeing what's recording on the camera through my phone here. So I have a little setup going on that hopefully doesn't take me too long. I'm laying down in bed. There's going to be a video version and an audio version. I've always seen people do some podcasts on their bed, and I think it's really cute, and I love how it feels like you're talking to someone one-on-one, but you don't have to have this whole huge production. Even though I do have a camera, light, this whole setup, I would have liked to have natural light coming in through the window, but it's already late and I'm going to work with what I have, because I always come up with a reason to not record a podcast or not do something because it's not perfect. And I already have my phone here disconnecting, so I can't see what the camera sees. And this is the only way that I can keep track of if the camera is still recording. And it says that it's not recording, but I hope it is. So I'm going to cut it right here just so I could double check that the camera is working. And there's going to be technical difficulties. My phone is disconnecting, and I'm gonna have to pause a couple times, and my tablet's turning off, but we're gonna make it work. Okay, I'm back. So the reason why I'm changing things up a little bit is because I'm going to be doing solo podcasts for a while. I am pregnant and I'm going to be having a baby very soon, and I want to live in the both and, meaning that I want to be able to take care of myself and my baby while I prepare to go back and record podcasts with guests. But I want to be able to provide useful content for other people and also do something that's fulfilling for myself. And this is how I am making it work. So not making excuses, I'm making it work. And I really feel like this podcast is going to just talk about overcoming self-doubt and giving you guys a little bit of background of what you can expect for future podcasts. So I've always told myself that I don't want to do a solo podcast because I don't have like a good enough story, or I don't have enough information to provide to people to help them get through difficult challenges. But I don't believe that anymore, because I've been told by so many people that I have an inspirational story, which I'm going to tell you guys about right now, and that I've motivated people and I've inspired them. And I truly believe that. And for you to be able to overcome self-doubt is by showing yourself that you could do things. And even when you can't do things, or you feel like you can't do them, or you're struggling, it's completely normal, because we're not always going to go into something knowing exactly how to do it. You need to figure it out. Like me setting up, I'm out of breath because I have a harder time breathing now that my belly's big. My ribs are like tight and there's not enough space for my lungs. So excuse me if it sounds like I was running. I'm just excited, and I also have a hard time breathing. Okay, so what I was saying was, I didn't always know how to do a podcast. I didn't have a microphone or headphone, or knew how to use GarageBand, or had my phone here where I can monitor the camera and have a little script right here on the side so I can keep track of the points I really want to mention. It just takes practice, and it takes time for you to show yourself that you're perfectly capable. And it's also that mental self-talk. How do you talk to yourself when you're attempting to do something that you've wanted to do? So this is a little encouragement to do something that you've been wanting to do, but you've had a lot of doubt and fear And the way that you'll get through that is just by taking it a couple steps at a time, just like I am. It wasn't all perfect like you guys heard in the beginning of this, but now we're settled in and we're making it work and we're making this happen. And I'm so thankful for you being here, and I'm thankful for me choosing to do this because it's already making me super happy. So let's go a little bit into my background. I want to share that so that you guys know what future episodes will hold, since I am going to be doing solo episodes. So a little bit about my background. I'm from East Palo Alto. It's in the Bay Area. It's near Palo Alto, where Stanford Hospital and Stanford University is. But the area I grew up in was like the poverty side. There was always like this bridge that you can see when you go from East Palo Alto to Palo Alto and Palo Alto to East Palo Alto, because you would be able to tell like by the fences being broken down, and then you cross this little bridge and then you see these beautiful fences and this green grass. And it was always like an insider joke that people would make when they crossed that little bridge. And during the time that I was growing up in East Palo Alto, now it's way different. Like there's an Amazon company there, and IKEA, and you actually see people walking with their children. And when I was growing up, there was mainly people of color, and there was a lot of gang violence, and there was high pregnancy rates and high dropout rates, even in middle school. And in middle school, I was not surrounded by the best influence. Neither was I at home because, we lived in poverty. So my brothers experienced having bad influence. I had bad influence. Like it just wasn't the best place. And my parents were forcefully married. So they lived together, but they were more like roommates. And it took a toll on my mom because she didn't really want to be around, and she wanted to live her life. I don't want to share too much about what she chose to do and not do, because that's my mom, like that's her life, and I don't really want to put her on the spot like that. But just to have you guys understand a little bit more about my upbringing and the things that I went through, I also want to mention that because there was a lot of neglect that I experienced. And even though I don't think my mom did it on purpose, it was just she was going through a lot of things. And during that time, she had also gone to jail. It was an accident, and she just hit a fence, and she went to jail for about a year while I was in elementary school. So I experienced not having her there and living just with my dad, which was an interesting dynamic because, he's a male. He was always working, and I was just this young girl in elementary school sending letters to my mom. And that had a big impact in my life. And then let's see, I'm going in chronological order, and I made like little notes on my tablet to kind of mention certain experiences that I had that I will be talking about in solo episodes in the future, how they affected me, yet tips and tricks on how I got through them, or how I've overcome them, or how I've been able to break through the effects of all these experiences. So the next thing that I want to mention is when my mom came back, we ended up moving out of there. So I lived just with my mom and my two brothers. I have no idea where my dad went. I'm kind of curious. So I'm going to be asking him where he was during that time that we lived in like a studio. So we moved multiple times, and we lived in different lifestyles. Like we had a house at one time, then we lived in a studio, or we lived in a garage, or we lived in a single bedroom. So it was always different. But one thing that I do remember was our homes were usually had cockroaches and rats. It was like infested, and my parents kind of had like a hoarding issue too, so that probably didn't help. And at one point we lived in a house with over 20 people, and it was a drug house. So, people come and buy their drugs. And we lived in just one room, me and my mom, and we fit everything we could in that room. And then my dad and my brothers lived in a handmade boarded up room, which was just like boards attached to the house. So the floor was just concrete, and they would just like get an extension cord and connect lights inside of this like boarded room. So it was just like in boards, and it wasn't insulated or anything like that. So during the time that we were living there, my dad was deported, and not that long after, my mom had suddenly passed away from cancer. So I experienced, the loss of both of my parents just within a very short time frame. And during this whole time, from I can't even, like, since I could remember, I've always experienced like sexual abuse. And now I'm wondering if my podcast is even going to be able to accept all these certain words in here. So I was trying to keep myself from being, I don't know, more vulgar or just saying things in a certain way. I'm trying to be careful with how I say things. But yeah, my since I could remember, my whole life I had experienced, sexual abuse. And I also moved from 3 different high schools after my mom passed. I got a new guardian, and I didn't last very long with that guardian because we didn't agree on a lot of things. So it was like a year that I had moved states into Colorado, and I didn't last there very long. She kicked me out shortly after my 15th birthday. She said, "You have birthday money, so now you can, move out." And during that time that I was living with her, I had come back to visit, friends in California because I was in Colorado, and I had experienced being raped. So that was added to my experiences. And then I moved to a new state again, and moved out of Colorado and moved in with my 2 brothers. One of them my older brother has schizophrenia and depression. And then my other brother was the one that was mainly taking care of the house, and we were able to live in a house because of Section 8. And we also got like food stamps since my mom had passed. That's why we got Section 8. We were approved. And at some point he ended up leaving, and then I became the head household and was taking care of things. And during that time I was in high school, and I was abusing weed and alcohol, and I didn't think it was a problem. But then at some point I ended up meeting a guy that was 10 years older than me, and I was a minor, and I was just manipulated by him. So that's another experience that I had that I'm going to be talking about, in this solo podcast. And eventually I got out of that relationship. I was not doing that great in school because of all the things that had happened to me. Like, I was a very happy person, but it was still affecting me, like the abusing substances. And there's a lot of things that happened that I haven't mentioned, but this is just like a quick summary of some experiences that I'm going to be talking about. And I through all of this, I dealt with severe depression. And it makes sense because I've had so many things that I didn't understand how to cope with or manage or navigate through. And now I'm in such a different place. I've worked a lot on healing through therapy, EMDR, self-help books, podcasts, audiobooks, prayer. So I'm in a way different place now than I was before. Okay, guys, so this was a very quick episode just because I wanted to give you guys a background on, you know, what the future holds for Brick Breakers. And I also wanted to give this a test run. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel and how it was going to work out, but I'm feeling pretty confident. And with the whole topic of self-doubt, it's a new year. And if there's anything I've learned from all my struggles and overcoming self-doubt is that it's not going to be perfect and there's going to be challenges along the way. But what really makes a difference and matters is that you take those steps, because without the challenges, then how are we supposed to learn? And that's really the biggest takeaway of self-doubt, overcoming self-doubt. So if there's anything that you've been wanting to do and you haven't because of fear and doubt, just take a couple steps at a time. And sometimes we're going to fail, and that's okay, because we're going to fail, and then we're going to have something that succeeds. And you just got to try new things and pivot. And that's what I'm doing with this podcast. And I'm very excited to see where this goes. So thank you guys so much for being here with me today. I can't wait to record the next podcasts and see what we discover together, and just discovering this new form of podcasting, like just relaxing and feeling good and just sharing. And I'm really going off, the script, because I don't want it to be too long, but just being able to like let go and maybe eventually not even need a script. But happy 2025. This is a positive message, a message of encouragement. If you know anybody that would benefit from listening to this episode, please share. And thank you guys so much. I don't want this to end because I'm just so excited and I want to keep talking and talking. But that's all for today. I'll see you guys in the next one.